Welcome to St. Lucia Hermitage. We are now on the integration part of our recollection. We shall review what we have presented from part 1 to part 3 in a prayerful meditation using a background inspirational music in piano. The title is Kanlungan. In English, it means cradle. Let us take a moment of silence and listen to this meditation. There is always that orphan within us, wounded and abandoned, rejected and victimized, smeared and scarred. In deep loneliness, feeling inadequate, seeking to find his place and to belong, wanting to be seen, heard, and accepted, almost giving up when helplessness and distrust of others prevails. But you have grown resilient, capable of empathy and compassion. Take courage, be confident. Your inner gifts are the key to a meaningful life. I will tell you my own experience. I was about 4 or 5, I guess. My dad brings me along with him, just the two of us. I guess his boss called him to and wanted him to see him right away, so we took a cab. And when we arrived at his boss' mansion, it was huge. My dad asked the driver to wait and left me inside the cab. I didn't mind. I know my dad will come back. We were waiting. I was a little bored. Then a couple or three women came and giggling looking at me inside the car. I got scared and cried. When my dad came back, he thought that I was scared because he left. I didn't tell him how I felt. But recalling that experience, I wasn't scared that he left, but I was scared of people peeping by the window. I didn't know the driver, but I knew my dad trust him. But I was terrified with those giggling ladies. I laugh whenever I remember that incident. Funny to me now, but during those times, it was terrifying. My mind had a hard time understanding why the ladies were giggling. My brain panicked and fear gripped on me. But it's okay now. Later on, I was able to understand. I was cute and looking at me was irresistible. That's why it is important for parents to be patient in explaining what is happening to their children to allay their fears and ensure their security. There was that need for autonomy, yet the need for assurance that their caregiver is around to help them out or give them the security they needed. If this lack of security and assurance, the lack of care prolonged, it could develop to a maladaptive behavior patterns. Let's take this exercise. Go deep into your imagination. Let us say you go back when you were 5 or 6. You and your mom took a train in a light rail and there was a rush of people. It was rush hour. Your mom tried to grab your hand, but you were amused of the lights in the display board. You kept going away. You break loose when the train just came and your mom was pushed by the crowd towards inside the train and you were left alone as you saw the door close and went away. You now you were left outside. The train left. How would you feel? Just feel the emotions within. At this moment, the orphan within is triggered by making the mind aware of the scenario, exposing to the danger and fear. But become the point is to evolve and get out of this fear. Now, how to evolve? First is be aware of the negative feelings. And second, be aware of your defense mechanisms. There is nothing wrong how you feel, but do not repress it. Instead, let it vent. And if there are repressed emotions, let it comes out in a creative, harmless ways. Be aware too that these negative feelings makes you behave in certain ways. These are defense mechanisms, but these defenses though trying to defend you, your conscious mind, or your ego, your sanity, but it could be an adaptive or maladaptive behavior. It is therefore important to be mindful to be able to get out from the fear of the orphan child. This entails first working on your self-confidence. When fear overruns us, we could fall into a pit of negative self-beliefs like I am not worthy of it, unlovable, unimportant, insignificant. And this means our mind has to be built up with positive feedbacks. And so, second, establish connections that could help you walk out from feeling of helplessness while validating your past sufferings, encouraging to rebuild trust in yourself and with life. I mentioned about how fear brings about a formation of a negative self belief. This is about how our belief makes us see who we are, a self image. A negative self image is reinforced by negative beliefs, and it is important to be mindful of these beliefs and how it came to existence and see how this reinforces your behavior, its effect on how you feel, and how it affects your relationship with other people. For example, as a child, they described me as picon. My uncle always teased me for my effeminate mannerism, and it drives me mad. It was relentless, and this affected how I see myself. Then at school, I was bullied for the same reason. I remember one traumatic experience when effeminate boys were lined up in class and made fun by classmates and our grade 5 teacher. I was 11 then. I grew up feeling ashamed of myself, my effeminate mannerism. My best friend even tried to help me project a more manly mannerism, like the way I should walk, sit, and speak. I felt awkward trying to act that wasn't me, just trying to fit into their expectations. But deep inside, I felt confused. I had this identity disturbance, as if it goes on, and even through early adulthood, it developed into a negative way of seeing myself. How I feel about myself, how I treat myself, and what I say to myself. It was self-shaming. Some calls this maladaptive schemas or ways in which I see the world by the way I interpret the world, which was built negatively out of negative experiences and negative information. Early in life, our experiences gave us a sense of understanding in how the world works, how people are going to treat us. And with an invalidating environment, this schema contributed to the development of a maladaptive personality. For example, I will use myself as an example again, the issue of my effeminate mannerism. Since I already started talking about this, I had no idea what was effeminate with me. I never bring this up to my parents about this issue pretending it was okay. But deep inside, it wasn't. My uncle kept teasing me, but being my mom's brother, isn't he supposed to guide me into acting properly instead of teasing me into something I had no idea except that the way I act and speak is something they dislike? Yet instead of teaching me, they had made fun of me, laugh at me. With such prolonged ridicule and embarrassment, I come to believe that the world hates effeminate, that women are undesirable, that masculinity is superior and femininity is loathed. And so I grew up hating the feminine in me, wanting even to change the way I act, but it was a futile effort. The gentleness was just naturally coming out. As I hate effeminate, I also teased other gays, called them bakla, until my dad heard me one time and he talked to me. It was from my dad that I learned teasing gays bakla is not good, that I should not put people down to shame them because of their mannerism. While my uncle teased me bakla for dancing hula, my dad does the opposite. He would even call me and to perform hula for his visitors and gladly play Hawaiian songs. But one day, I made my dad sad when I refused to dance hula just because I thought it was gay to dance hula. My only regret was not telling my dad how my uncle, my teachers, and even the movies, how all this influences me. I even thought that my dad would be displeased if later he discovered that I have become what the world hate me to become. Even at the time when I got attracted with another guy, I felt so bad about myself. In church, they reject gays. I was refused entry to the religious just because I am attracted to the same sex. I even remember consulting a psychiatrist about this. But the doctor told me there's nothing wrong with having attracted to the same sex. She told me that it is no longer listed as a mental or emotional disorder. Some men are created this way, he says. I refuse to believe because I grew up as a staunch Catholic. Aside from negative experiences of being bullied because of this tendency, church teachings also condemn it. The list to know about it were my parents. It was only when I was in my 40s and about to migrate to Canada that I was pressured to open up with them because I was going to Canada with my partner then. To my amazement, it was a non-issue to them. My papa and mama even welcomed my partner into our house and even supported us with our plans. And when I got separated with my partner, my parents comforted me and counseled me to be strong and gave me consoling words. I said a while ago that the challenge for each of us, especially for that orphan within us, is to first be aware of our negative feelings and second be aware of our defense mechanism. But this awareness must also be followed by a proactive action to change, moving from a pessimist, cynical person to a more hopeful, compassionate one. This would mean a mindful change in one's way of thinking and acting, a change in beliefs and behavior. This wouldn't be easy, and it will need inspiration to move us. So, tapping the sage within this archetype could help us drive towards meaningful and lasting changes in how we think and act. But first, let's look into how the sage in us could help us. The sage is the wisdom in each of us. The sage learns through reflecting on our experience. The sage examines how our beliefs affects our behavior and with maladjusted behaviors propose what needed to change, learning what is reasonable and proper that could make behaviors more productive and responsive for self-betterment as well as for the good of others and our environment. Sometimes even examining beliefs and when these are found to be detrimental and reinforcing maladaptive behavior. Changing beliefs happens when we are convinced that what we believe in is bringing evil to our lives and causes more sufferings to the child within. Remember how my beliefs was destroying my self-worth, reinforced by the constant bullying and teasing from my uncle, schoolmates, and teachers in school, and made worse by church teachings that condemns homosexuality and a constant threat in the church expelling gays from their faith community, teachings that relegated women subservient to the masculine clerical orders, which further made me feel negative about femininity. It took almost half of my lifetime to realize the evils done by a faith I used to believe in until I realized how badly bruised I was. The death of my dad started me to realize how he looks at me without any judgment, with respect and honor, accepting me for who I am. To honor my dad, I started to learn to dance hula again. Hula enables me to embrace myself. From hula, I learned different stories on the beauty of femininity, stories of their resilience in the epics and myth of my ancestors beyond what the Christian scripture tells. Hula challenged me to look into the stories and wisdom of my people. Hula, it's a dance that tells a story of their people and their resilient faith. It was a catalyst for me in understanding the struggles of indigenous people, women and gays, and how they were invalidated in today's world. It was like a ritual that evokes the numinous in my consciousness. The chants, the singing of the mele was the focal point of the mind. understanding the message, and in the retelling of the stories in the melee, through the gentle gestures of the hands. And such retelling for every movement of the hands is like touching the divinity and within and beyond the self, a ritual that blesses the audience with the beauty of every sway of the hips, in every step it takes, for every bows and bends it makes, for every hula hands made. It's like a meditation in dance form that led the soul in deep tranquility, peace, and joy, awakened towards a renewed spiritual realm, one that is wanting to share its knowledge and wisdom. The sage in me was like a blacksmith that pounded me with a heavy blow to make a sharp edge. Continuously observing, learning, and questioning, the dance becomes my prayer, a ritual telling me my story that awakens my mind, my heart, and steered my soul to healing and wholeness. To bring this to conclusion, let us now prepare ourselves and evoke the numinous in us as we watch and listen to this dance ritual, knowing you are not alone even in solitude. I know you are here. Alam kong ika'y narito. You are always here with me. Lagi kang nasa tabi ko. You protect me from danger. Sa kapahamakan, inilalayo mo ako. You lead me to safe path. Akay-akay mo ako. Tangan mo ang aking mga kamay. Take my hands and take me to wherever you go. You look into my heart and you know all my secrets. Siniyasat mo ang aking puso at alam mo ang lahat-lahat. Alam mo ang aking mga kahinaan. You know all my weaknesses. Tangan mo ang aking mga kamay sa gitna ng mga panganib. Di mo ako iniwan. Iyakap mo ako sa iyong mga bisig. Embraced in your arms, I find refuge in your heart. Ang pag-ibig mo ang aking kanlungan.